Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling, and today on the program, in our first segment, we are shining the spotlight on two outstanding gentlemen, former, now retired Philadelphia police officers, and they rose through the ranks, basically, and they have a story to tell. In fact, they're telling their story in a book. It's called In Commemoration of the Black in Blue. And so we'll be talking about this wonderful new book when we come back, and also when we turn the page on our second segment, we're going to hear a lady who has a business and a business mind for an old skill that should still be as popular today as it was back in the day, and that's sewing. How about making your own clothes? We'll talk about it in our next segment, so stay along with us. We'll be back in a moment. Well, hello, everybody, and we're back as we get started with our program today, and I am so excited. I am holding in my hands a book. The two gentlemen sitting by my side, they made the book happen. First of all, we have Art Matthews, a former inspector, retired Philadelphia Police Department, and we have Mr. Benjamin Scott, retired also Philadelphia Police Department, and I didn't know what your rank was.
I had to work. I was in Highway Patrol.
Highway Patrol, important enough for me. When I see those black boots coming, I start trembling, okay? So we have the book in our hands. Was it both of your vision to do this book? Did you start the idea and he came along with you?
Well, the idea was given to me by a friend, Dr. Clarence Foucault, a retired professor from Morgan State University. We were discussing police and my background in police, and he suggested that I should write a book about it. So I thought about it, and then Ben Scott, we're old friends and colleagues, and I knew Ben Scott was an educator. He taught in the public schools, and he was a researcher, so I reached out to Ben and asked Ben would he like to work with me on the book, and that's how it came about.
Well, the book has been fascinating reading, and I thank you so much for making the book available to me. I understand that recently, when the Guardian Civic League observed their 60th anniversary, you were giving the books away at the event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was very nice of you.
We are looking for sponsors to reproduce the book. Yes. We don't want to sell the book. We want the book to get out in the domain so that people could see the history of how the blacks became police officers in this city and how they ascend through the ranks and the education we got as police officers. They took us into private industry where they excel. So it covers the accomplishment of some of the blacks in the police department and also after they left the police department.
Well, now take us down history lane a little bit, if you would, and either one of you jump in. Tell us about the first men of color, African Americans, who came on the Philadelphia police force, and were they welcomed with open arms?
Well, no one really welcomes an outside group into the group, but it came about by being, in 1881, you had Octavius Cotto, who was assassinated. And the black community in the city of Philadelphia started asking questions, why can't we have black policemen? Because there were white policemen involved in his assassination. As a result of it, you had to change the party from Republican to Democrats. And as a result of this, a promise was fulfilled, and the promise was to appoint black policemen. Before that, you had a group of men called turnkeys. And these turnkeys, these are the men who sort of like cleaned up the cells and did the errands and things like that. And it was about 25 or 30 of them.
And they were black?
They were black.
Okay.
But the first four who were appointed as actually policemen came as a result of the demands of the black community to do something so that we had some black policemen. And these poor black men were vetted very well, probably both politically and sound, and they became the first black policemen. One of them was a man by the name of Draper. Mr. Draper was in the Union Navy, served in the Union Navy, served on the Constellation, which was ships that interdicted slave catchers, people in the slave trade.
Yes.
You had one gentleman who went to Lincoln University and Howard's Law School and was a writer. So these four men were the vanguard to the police department.
Wow, very interesting. And on the front cover of the book, you have a picture of one of that group of four that were the first four?
No, that's not.
Okay, that's not one of the first four?
That's in 1905.
Okay.
1900.
The first one was appointed in August of 1881. And the campaign actually began in 1871 when O.V. Cato was assassinated during the riots.
It was around election time.
That's right. There were major riots at the time. The immigrants from Europe were competed, number one, with the freed slaves for the menial jobs. So the clash and the riots were very severe. O.V. Cato was leaving the voting place when he was assassinated by an ex-policeman. And because of that, and the police were assisting the European who were trying to prevent blacks from voting.
Right.
The blacks were Republicans, the immigrants were Democrat. So that was the conflict. There was severe rioting. In fact, O.V. Cato was an officer in the Pennsylvania Constabulary, and he was leaving the polling place because the governor had called up the constabulary to put down the rioting. And he was an officer, O.V. Cato was an officer, and he was on his way home to get into uniform to report for duty when he was assassinated.
What history?
By an ex-policeman named Kelly, who absconded. They did capture him and brought him back. He was tried, and although there were 30 witnesses to the assassination, he was found not guilty.
In front of a all-white jury.
Yeah, right, right. But listen, so how long did it take you to rise to the ranks to become an inspector in the Philadelphia Police Department? And you were one of the first, not the first, but one of the first inspectors.
Well, I went through approximately 8 years from patrolman, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, captain in 8 years. And there was about another 6 years before I became inspector, and another 3 or 4 years when I became chief inspector. I was not the first black chief inspector. The first black chief inspector was Ballard. Ballard was the first black chief inspector back in 1963. But he was appointed a chief inspector, and he didn't live long. He had cancer and died. That's why people don't really realize, because his short tenure as chief inspector, so many people think I was the first. I was not the first.
So you were the second?
Yeah, I was the second.
Okay.
Let me say I stood on their shoulders.
Yes, yes. I understand that. I understand that statement.
I had the opportunity to work for Inspector Ballard. I was his plainclothes investigator for a good while. And Inspector Ballard, at the same time, you had another gentleman by the name of Payne. He was a deputy inspector. And I think he came maybe just before Ballard, before that. And I know him well because we went to the same church together.
Yes.
And you had other men who came up through the ranks, say like Leonard Jones. Leonard Jones was like one of the first lieutenants that came along. But this is why we have to tell a story to let these people, let everyone know that policemen, particularly African American policemen, served more in the purpose of keeping the peace. Oftentimes, if you go back to the 1880s, they were role models. And you can, in the book, you see they were role models.
Yes, absolutely.
And oftentimes, when you didn't have patrol cars during the time, you had what they call horses and you had bicycles. They often did the police work in the black community and kept the peace in the black community.
So very important. We are almost out of time, and I know that you said that you're not selling the book. You want to be able to give it away. You want people to get this history. So you're actually looking for funders to help support getting the book reprinted and in mass production and all of that. Is there a phone number that we can put on the air where people who are interested in supporting you, or an email address or a mailing address that we can put out there?
Well, they can contact the Guardian Civic League at 1516 West Girard Avenue in Philadelphia, and the phone number is 215-736-0490, and I have an office there, so
Excellent.
I'll be able to receive
Music
any
to
information.
my ears. And again, that number is 215-763-0496.
Yes.
That's 215-763-0496 or 90?
90.
Okay. 215-763-0490. That's the number to the Guardian Civic League. They're located at 1516 West Girard Avenue in North Philadelphia, right off of Broad and Girard. Easy to find, and you can get a book. Better yet, you can bring a donation or contribution to help get more books published. And we're really looking for some big-time, heavy pockets to come along and just make this easy so we don't have to go, you know, getting a whole bunch of $20 bills. Just send us up $200,000. That ought to do the trick, right?
Right.
Okay, gentlemen, we're almost out of time, but I have to tell you this. Certainly, Alfonso Deal is very special, near and dear to my heart. He's the first person that ever signed me up for the NAACP back when he was the president. But he was also the founder of the Guardian Civic League. Real quick, did you think he was crazy when he first said we need a black policemen's organization?
No, absolutely. Al was a catalyst of, and his energy is what really built the Guardian Civic League.
Yes. We are all out of time. I'm being given the signal to close it out, but a 2-second statement.
Alfonso Deal was he was a state representative too.
Yes.
And he was one of my partners when I worked for A.V. Ballard.
I loved him so much. We got to do this story again. Next time we need to take the whole show just to talk about this book in commemoration of the Black in Blue, 1881 to 2016. That's what's up. And we'll be back in a moment as we go forward with our program. We're going to talk about sewing in the next segment. So we'll keep it moving. Stay with us right here at News You Can Use.
TV.
I love that new show, Flip.
I gotta keep up, so News You Can Use has to be my favorite.
I love LaSalle Sports, so Sportsline is my favorite TV show.
We love LaSalle TV.
I love that new show with the psychology department, Relationships 101.
I love Backstage Pass. It's my favorite show.
We love LaSalle TV.
Sports Talk Philadelphia.
Q&A, I love that show.
It's gotta be LaSalle TV News.
I love LaSalle TV.
3, 2, 1, action. You may think a guy would be producing this, but I can too. Anyone can find a cure.
Women are being downgraded for their physical ability, but you can be just as strong.
%20 of women are engineers, but it doesn't stop there.
I'm a tech girl. I'm a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
Eddie Dunn, host of LaSalle's favorite TV game show, Q&A. Do you know that LaSalle TV is an entirely student-run organization? Probably, right? Do you also know that I happen to know all of the words to Eminem's Rap God? It's crazy, right? It's like 6 minutes. I'm not going to do it here, but just trust me that I know the words.
Hello, everybody. We're back now with the final portion of our program for today on this edition of News You Can Use. And I am so excited. We've got Miss Heather Hutchinson Harris here. Miss Harris, and it's so good to have you. I have to thank my daughter, Danielle Martin, for introducing me to you and your sewing class. Like one day she just came home and she said, Mom, I've signed up for a sewing class. I'm like, yeah, right. Like you have time. And she found the time. She shuts down everything on the days of this class. And now she's coming home with these cute outfits and pillowcases and tote bags, and she's just sewing, sewing, sewing. Yes. She already had the sewing machine. She had been doing some sewing before, but she wanted professional training on how to really do it. So she amazes me. And this class sounds like it's so exciting. Something that I've always believed, people who have the talent and the patience, do it. You can make money out of it, and even if it's not about making money, you can hook yourself up so that, you know, when you walk in a room, you don't have to be concerned about, oh, she has on my dress, which happens to me too often when I go to church or go to other events, and I'm like, oh my God, she has on my dress.
Right, yes.
When you can sew, you don't have to go through that.
Exactly. You can make it yourself. It can be your own thing.
So how long have you been sewing?
I've been sewing for about 12 years, and I started sewing as a hobby. And became
Well, you must have been a baby when you started because you look about 14 now.
Yes, pretty much, yes.
Yes,
exactly.
Okay. All right.
I wish I could say I've been sewing my whole entire life, but I haven't, most of my adult life. But my grandmother was a seamstress. She was an impeccable sewer. My mother sewed as well, but I didn't become interested until much later in life. And like I was saying, it became obsessive. It just took over and became a business. Yeah.
And became a business. So now how did you do this business thing? Because that's something else that I'm always encouraging people. If you have a vision and you have a dream and you want to do something that is business-wise, and you got to do it. You got to make it happen. You can't just keep saying, oh, I don't have enough money, or just coming up with excuses on why you can't do it. You got to step out, I believe, on faith and make it happen.
And I feel like I step out on faith pretty much every day when I open our doors. I started teaching friends and family how to sew. And from there, I just really kept motivating me to start something on my own. And I found a space and went from there.
I don't know anybody else like you personally who does what you're doing. That's what's so fascinating to me. Like, again, when my daughter discovered you, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Somebody's teaching sewing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we are the only sewing studio and fabric boutique in Philadelphia.
And we've been open. Got the right market.
Well, we've been open 3 years now, and we have classes for adults and for children, from beginner to advanced.
Slow learners? You got slow learners
For
class?
any learner, any learner. I mean, I feel like I can teach anyone how to sew and do it well. Yes. And we start with something really simple. A pillowcase, you know, something so simple,
something
very
I'm short
satisfying.
Of at home right now.
Everybody uses one, or at least mostly everyone uses one. And then from there we move on to a tote bag, something with a zipper, and then we start working with patterns. And then from there you can start making your own clothing, or making things for your family, or quilting. Yes. So, I mean, we can just keep going.
If you don't have a sewing machine in your home,
right,
and you want to sew, and now I'm taking this class with Miss Harris, I don't have a sewing machine at home. So that's got to be like a bummer there. But I'm not trying to discourage people from taking the class. It's just about you have to set your mind and put your money, you know, away and save up and get one of these babies.
Yes. So we rent our machines as well. So you don't necessarily have to have a machine right away to get started with us. We rent them by the hour. But then we also talk about sewing machines. I don't suggest that you buy a machine that's over $150 to start with, because it can get expensive. Yes. I'd rather you spend it on really quality fabric and good thread, and you know, the really good sewing machine comes with experience and over time. So yeah, my students start on this machine right here. It's
Nice
relatively
machine.
simple, and people can go out and buy a machine today for under $150.
Okay.
And yeah, most people have them
Right.
and don't know what to do with them. So I get a lot of phone calls of people saying, I have this machine, I don't know what to do. And I say, come take the class.
Let me ask you this. When you start sewing, do you have to have like a natural ability on like how to pick material? Because that's the other thing that amazes me with my daughter, like with these tote bags. She's making everybody tote bags now for Christmas, right? And it'll be one color inside and a whole different design on the outside, but the colors coincide. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how to do that. Like, how do you pick that?
So I feel like that comes with time too, and just what's available. So we have a small selection of fabric at our shop, and we take a lot of time to pick out the fabrics that we have, that we sell to the public.
I heard it gives Gaffney a run for their money.
We may.
Some nice selections, I hear.
A run for their money, maybe. And they also have a lot of things that we don't offer as well. But yeah, the fabric we have. I mean, that's really what happened when I started sewing, was the fabric. It just, at the time when I started, there weren't too many places to purchase fabric, and it was kind of, you know, old looking, and then more of these modern fabrics that are coming out on the market today. So yeah.
It sounds like it's worth it. Now, you said you teach people of all ages, so what's the youngest you work with? 7, 8, 10-year-olds?
Typically I start on the machine at age 8, but I have worked with younger children. And sometimes I'll have parents work with their child, and maybe the parent works the pedal and the child moves the fabric through the machine. So we can work with all different levels.
All right. And then are your classes affordable? Is this something that somebody who may not have a lot of money might be able to juggle into their budget?
I think so. I mean, I really want everyone to become obsessed with sewing.
You say become obsessed with it, huh?
Really become obsessed with it, because it's so enjoyable. And I feel as though our classes are geared to being very affordable for any price range, and accessible as well. You know, I have some students who come in and had a bad experience in school when they learned how to sew. I tell them, don't worry about it. This is something completely new, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes, but we're going to have a good time doing it.
That's my biggest fear. I am a graduate of Angela Domini Academy for Girls. It used to be at 700 East Church Lane. We took we had a class where we had sewing, and I thought I was just doing good along with the rest of the girls. And on graduation day from 8th grade, I wore the dress that I made to the graduation. And I went to hug somebody, and the whole back opened up. I mean, to the point where somebody had to give me their jacket, and I had to put it over my butt just to back out of the room to get into the car to go home, because I was so embarrassed. And I haven't tried to sew since then. That was an embarrassing day. The dress basically fell apart on me while I was out in public. I didn't do good. I didn't do good.
You did fine. You did just fine. But come back and we'll try it over again.
You'll try to
we'll try
work it out. Huh? Okay.
And I have to tell you, I have many students that come from your alma mater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still have a sewing program, and they're coming to buy fabric and take classes. So yeah,
good to know.
It's good to know that there's still some schools in the area that are teaching sewing.
So tell us exactly where you are, the name of your business, and what's the best hours that people can call. Give me your website. We want all the details.
So it's Handcraft Workshop, and we're in Mount Airy at 7224 Germantown Avenue, and our number is 215-247-1440. We have online registration now, so our classes are on our website at handcraftworkshop.com, or you can come in Tuesday through Friday. We're open, and we're open Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, well, this is all good. I just thank you so much for sharing this information today. Oh, I can't leave Sally out. Sally, I don't want to offend you, but Sally the dummy, right?
Yes,
that's Sally the dummy.
Our mannequin, yes.
Modeling a beautiful polka dot dress that is green and navy blue.
And she's also, so she has our tote bag. This is what we make the second week of our beginner series. And then she's also wearing one of our infinity scarves. That is a class for kids that is coming up in December.
And then a nice simple dress. Would you call that an A-line dress?
That's pretty much like an A-line t-shirt dress. It's one of our most popular classes because you can modify it too. You can have long sleeves, a collar. So there are many different things that we can do with this dress.
One of the things that I particularly like about the idea of, well, if I can't sew, somebody like my daughter, wink, 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 or some seamstress who knows how to do it. I get sick of going to the clothing stores, and I'm a grandmother now. I'm getting older. I don't want to wear a mini skirt. I don't want to wear a skirt really. I want it to cover my knee.
Right.
And a lot of times these dresses that you see in the stores, when you try them on and you're standing up, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. But when you go to sit down, that thing rises all the way up to here. Even for this show, I look at some of the shows sometimes, I'm like, oh, that is too much thigh showing over there. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm a grandmom.
Right.
I want to be decent and in order. So sewing is the way out. Make your own stuff. You make it as long as you want to make it, and you're good.
And you're good. And we also offer a class for alterations to take your existing garments and change them. Maybe you need to make it smaller or larger, or maybe you need to add something to the bottom so it's a little bit longer. So we offer that kind of class too.
All right. Well, give us your website again. Give us your phone number again.
Okay. It's handcraftworkshop.com, 215-247-1440.
And she checks her email in the middle of the day, too. I'm a witness because I found out today she does check even when you're off. On Mondays, you're closed?
We are closed on Mondays, yes.
Okay. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, Fridays?
And Saturday and Sunday.
And Sundays, too?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. That's
We
good.
have classes
That's
6
great.
days a week.
That's good. Well, I wish you all the best with your
Thank you very
wonderful
much.
idea.
I appreciate it.
And I would think that, if anything, it would be a great public service to make more people aware of this. Because if you can sew, you can make money.
Yes,
you can earn extra income for yourself, or at the very least, you can save money by being able to make some of your own clothes. I love it. Going back to high school again, my proms, every prom, I had on a dress that was made by someone that my mother knew. So it's a blessing when you know people who can sew.
Yes, it is.
So thank you for coming into my daughter's life. Thank you for opening up your business in Mount Airy.
Yes.
And being right there in the heart of our community.
Thank you.
All right. We appreciate you so very much. That does it for this edition of News You Can Use. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank the Pennsylvania Licensed Liquor and Beverage and Bar Owners Association for this wonderful award that they gave to me on November the 6th of 2016. You Make a Difference, presented to Thera Martin. And thank you for your voice and dedication from the PLTMA. And again, it was presented just a couple of days ago before the taping of this show on November the 6th. And a student here from LaSalle University Communications Department, Amanda Keaton, who is the producer behind the executive producer, Professor Tanya Ellis, Amanda Keaton, that does this show for us. And she came out to this program with me. She surprised me because I had no idea that she was going to present the award. So thank you, Amanda Keaton, for surprising me. I'm going to get you the next time. And we thank the organization for giving us this award. Everybody out there, keep on watching all the great programs coming your way at LaSalle TV. You can check it out on Channel 56 for Comcast, Verizon Fios Channel 36 also. Check it out 7 days a week. Have a great day, everybody. Remember, life is fragile. Handle it with prayer. Take